Welcome to the Optimized Equine Podcast. I'm your host, Tamara Lee Barrett, and today I'm thrilled to bring you a conversation with someone whose approach to horses beautifully demonstrates what happens when technical skill meets genuine empathy and connection. My guest today is Ariana Sakaris, and what struck me most about our conversation is her unwavering commitment to seeing things from the horse's perspective. Ariana's philosophy centers on one powerful idea. True partnership with horses isn't about technique alone. It's about awareness, understanding, and meeting each horse exactly where they are. Ariana is known for her calm, patient, and deeply empathetic approach with both horses and humans. Her teaching blends clarity with compassion, helping others discover a kinder way of understanding, communicating, and working with their horses. Through her thoughtful attention to detail and her commitment to understanding things from the horse's perspective, Ariana has become widely respected for creating harmony and trust between horse and human. Ariana's journey with horses began at the age of 5 at a local riding facility in Greece, where she became fascinated by the language between horses and people. Those early experiences ignited a lifelong passion to learn, grow, and explore what true partnership means, both with horses and within herself. After returning to the U.S. from Greece, she continued learning from rescue horses at a local Maryland riding school and went on to study for over 8 years under a former Russian Olympic dressage coach and master of sport, completing more than 400 hours of certified hands-on education. Yet, as her technical skill grew, so did her awareness that something essential was missing, a genuine two-way connection with the horse. She realized that true mastery couldn't be achieved through technique alone, but through empathy, awareness, and understanding the horse's mind and heart. This realization sparked a transformative journey that took her across the U.S. and to France to study with some of the world's leading professionals, from Grand Prix and classical dressage masters to liberty and horsemanship experts. Today, Ariana is a United States Dressage Federation silver medalist, a 4-time International Liberty Horse Association champion, National Dressage Pony Cup Mustang champion, USDF Mustang Breed Award champion, Mustang Makeover Reserve champion, Midwest Horse Fair Star Search Reserve champion, and award-winning filmmaker for her short documentary, Wildheart. Based in Paris, Kentucky, Ariana offers clinics, demonstrations, instruction, and training focused on liberty work, dressage, groundwork, and relationship-based problem solving. Her online program, Student of the Horse, provides monthly masterclasses, live Q&A coaching, and step-by-step video lessons to help students transform their communication and deepen their understanding and connection. In this episode, we dive deep into Ariana's story and how she blends groundwork, liberty, and dressage. We discuss lessons learned in and out of the saddle and the courage it takes to show up in competitive environments when your horse doesn't fit the mold. So whether you're interested in liberty work, dressage, or simply learning how to communicate more clearly with your horse, this conversation offers wisdom that applies across all disciplines. You can follow Ariana on her Facebook page, Ariana Sakaris Equestrian Development, or visit her website at arianasakaris.com to learn more about her work and access free videos and her online coaching program. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and rate the Optimized Equine Podcast. Follow our socials and stay connected at tamaraleebarrett.com. Now let's dive into my conversation with Ariana Sakaris. Welcome to the podcast, Ariana. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Good, very good. Happy to be here.
So, to start, can you tell us about you and your background and how this evolved into the work that you're doing with horses today?
Yes, so I just like a lot of us, since I was a little girl, I was always fascinated with horses and just kind of always wanted to be around them. Every weekend, I would look forward to being able to go to the barn. And I don't even remember, to be honest, like what I did half the time at the barn, but I know that just being there, like on the property with horses, was very soothing to me. And I didn't want to be anywhere else. So I had that initial draw and attraction to horses since as early as I can remember. Then of course comes the fascination with, okay, how do I do this? How do I navigate this? How can I figure out how to ride a horse? How can I figure out how to, in the movies and things, we see people like galloping on horses. How could I possibly figure out how to hold on good enough or balance good enough, which I didn't know about then. So I had the idea that there could be more than just like walking around a barn and learning about them. I wanted to do kind of things that now I understand symbolize harmony between a horse and a person. Like they're getting along, they're moving as one, they're able to achieve things together. And so then I enrolled in lessons, and actually my mother was the first one that taught me, but then I began to know everything, and so she quickly moved me on to an instructor. And so then with the instructor, of course I listened a lot better. And uh we were in Greece at the time, so I had my first lessons over there. Then when we came back to the US, I started working at a local riding school. They had a lot of rescue horses and ponies, and it was kind of one of those places where I would every day, actually, my school was like walking distance to the barn. So I would close my books, pack my backpack, and then just rush to the barn every day. And I kind of worked constantly there with the chores, the care of the horses, and then of course took lessons. So I became very like intertwined with everything that goes into having a horse, caring for a horse, supporting a horse's well-being, far from like just showing up and riding. I mean, we were told, if we wouldn't drink out of that water, it needs to be changed. So there was just like a work ethic around how to care for an animal, as well as respect them because they all had different backgrounds, which I think was very fascinating as a kid because you get to see that horses not only have different personalities and makeups, breeds, and things like that, but they also have history. And each horse or pony at that riding school had a story of where it came from, how it got rescued, why it got rescued, and so all that was very interesting to me because I got to know them like family members.
Mm-hmm.
And we would get paired with one in particular that was our project. And I remember getting paired with one that was uh, very, very, very anxious, and she was a standard bred and like kind of hard to catch in the field and not trusting of anything. And so, learning about that was very important. Really learning how to go at a horse's speed and at the pace they need you to, even as a younger child. So, but there came a point at that riding school when, I knew that there was more. I wanted to really push myself. I always had that feeling I want to get better and I need to keep pushing to the next level in my own skill set. I don't know where that push came from. I don't know, but I think it was just like a very strong pull to learn. And so I asked my instructor, if she could recommend anyone where I could get really like thrown into the next level of learning. And I moved on to a Russian trainer who's now passed away, but he was a dressage master of sport. And I did more than 400 hours of certified training directly with him. And there was a lot of jumping and then a lot of dressage as well, which I actually then struggled with. I found the jumping a lot easier um, because he taught me basically like the art of how to leave a horse alone when you're on their back, how to get out of their way so that they can jump effectively. And then he said, well, in order to jump well, you have to learn your dressage really well. And so that started that whole path. And then, as time went on, I thought, okay, again, I still want more. Like I want to dive more into horses, into learning, into the relationship we can have with them, the partnership when we do things with them. So I then I went to France. I taught English in elementary schools there, and I started pursuing their classical dressage and liberty work, learning from various very respectable people. And once I got into the liberty work side, that to me felt like where I was supposed to be. Like that was a very important piece of the pie that I felt maybe was the missing piece before, that I didn't really know what that was. So that's kind of the route that I took, initial fascination with horses to going through some jumping dressage, classical dressage, and then into liberty work. And that is, minus the jumping dressage, liberty work, groundwork is what I do today. And so that's not all of the story of my biography, but just kind of the general story.
Now, was competition something you were thinking about? Was that a big drive for you at that age, or when did it become even something you thought about?
So actually, I before I went to college, because I did go to college, when I was working with the Russian trainer, and I would ride all of his horses, and he really was like a pivotal person for me in my training and education. I spent hours with him as much as I could. The idea was for me to go on to become a professional rider. Like that was the possibility that was talked about, is just bypassing college and going straight into that. But I did feel that wasn't what I felt like I wanted to do then. I didn't feel any connection to showing at all. In fact, I think I went to one show, I think it was a small jumper show, local show, and I think I got so nervous. I was like so nauseous, and it was nothing. It was like a tiny little show, and I was so incredibly nauseous. And it just like that whole feeling did not feel right to me. And I felt like I couldn't focus with my horse. And that was really the only actual show at the rescue riding school. We did tons of shows, but they were more fun. They were with my friends. They were in a good spirit. I don't know if I was nervous about being judged or what, but I could not function like mentally, emotionally in a show environment based off that one time when I did go to a little jumper show with my trainer. And it could be I just didn't want to even disappoint him, because he was
Mhm.
very, very tough. Very, very tough on me, and held me to a very high standard. And I respected him a lot and did not want to let him down. So yeah, I did not feel any connection to showing. Blue ribbons meant nothing. I didn't have any draw to showing back then. So that the showing only came back later in life as something
Mhm.
valuable, meaningful, and that I wanted to do.
Yeah. And we will dive into that in a little bit. Before we do, can you tell us a little bit more of the details of what your day-to-day looks like? If you're working with a horse, what does it look like when someone has put together dressage and liberty and all that stuff?
Yeah. So actually, of course, it depends on the horse, but for example, I have a mare, an older mare, 14-year-old mare in training right now, and so she's actually being restarted. We're just kind of starting from scratch, building her confidence, helping her learn all the basics, because I think that in the past, other trainers were not able to work with her, ride her. So an example of how the blend comes together is I start with the groundwork that actually is the precursor to liberty work. So every horse will, like she got and is getting that groundwork. I take a mix of the groundwork that is a precursor to liberty work and groundwork that has a heavy concentration on confidence building. And I do both of those and I melt them together. So I'm not just necessarily getting the horse, like I'm not getting this mare just sensitive to the aids for liberty work, like her understanding all the things I would like her to do. I'm also dually working with her on helping her understand not everything is something she has to respond to, and really in her case, it's react to. And that whole confidence building side really came from working with my Mustang and one of my friends who really helped me with her. And I've melted that into the basic groundwork. So I really feel like there's two parts to the groundwork. Then now I'm moving on to start some liberty training with this mare. And then dually as well, she's in long lining right now, preparing her to be ridden so that she knows all the aids and she has an idea how to balance and carry herself before I get on her. I do a lot of long lining as a precursor to riding to help the horses. So we aren't actually into the ridden dressage work yet, but I'm layering things that are going to take us there. I definitely don't think, okay, how can I get on this horse? How can I ride this horse? I think, how can I teach this horse skills to where their brain, their body, they can trust themselves to navigate through things without panicking. And once, like, really, once I have their brain able to help themselves and almost save themselves out of situations that would have in the past scared them or caused them to react, once I can see they can navigate through that, uh, then I would be approaching getting on them. But this is specifically for a mare that has struggled with people attempting to ride her. So that's where the blend would be. And I feel even if I have a horse that I'm riding already, I might on some days be doing groundwork, touching up their confidence, maybe doing some liberty work. It's amazing too to watch what each horse really wants to do, like what they excel in. I've had actually right now, I've got a group of horses that various ages, various breeds, all the way from 6 to 28, I think. And they're all working at Liberty in a different way, but they all started with their groundwork, all at Liberty. Some are ridden, some are not. And it's interesting within the Liberty work, they each have their strengths on the things that they are the most attracted to, the most motivated to do, most excited about doing. And it's once you can kind of pull those things out, I feel like they become, a powerful source of empowerment for the horse. And then I use those to help them want to come to class, want to learn. And then I can say, maybe you excel at this in liberty work, but we can also dabble a little with the riding. But I promise we'll go back to some things you like on the ground as well. So not only like putting the pieces together, but finding the strengths of the horse and really playing on that to help them feel good about working with you. I think that's a
When
nice.
uh, when you were describing that scenario for that horse, you talk about doing groundwork first, and it kind of turns into liberty. I know there's, you know, the word liberty is like the word horsemanship. It means different things to different people, and it certainly looks different to different people. Um, I know there's some people that would present liberty as if like they have failed if they have to put a rope on a horse or put a halter on a horse or whatever. And it's really important to some of those people to have it be really pure liberty and don't use this and don't use that ever. Um, Obviously, that's not the route you take. Is that a route you would take with some horses? Like with some horses, might you start truly at liberty, or is that always going to be something that you build upon with tools first and then you take them away?
So that's a really good question because I usually will start with the halter and lead rope on, not to prevent the horse from like just leaving me, but to have a chance to teach that horse that it's possible to think through the questions that I'm asking them. If we turn them loose too early, sometimes they can get like attached to the idea of just seeking relief from the thought of us asking them questions. And my real motto is, if it helps to put the halter and leader up on, if I can to clarify something, I will. If I don't need it, I don't need it. But I have no problem, like, and I wouldn't even consider it a step back. I would say it's you're making a good choice to help that horse. Like, why let that horse have maybe 15, 20 minutes of feeling confused when I could put the halter and lead rope on, help them figure it out in 5 minutes, and leave them feeling more empowered and less lost. So I think of myself as a helper to the horse. So if I can help them by doing that, I will. And interestingly, this mare that I was describing, the 14-year-old mare, um, her first Liberty session, I did like an experiment, and I said, okay, she's got her groundwork down, but not necessarily been painting it towards the Liberty direction completely, because we had to really heavily dote the confidence side. But I said, okay, what if I just turn her loose and start with her right here? And it was very interesting because I was able to get a lot of things done, but there were certain things that were very obvious in the session that kept reoccurring. And those things that kept reoccurring can be easily helped. I won't even say solved, because it's not about making it go away. It's about helping the horse through that. They can be solved by putting the halter and leader up on. And what exposed that was needed, she needed help with, is part of the basics of like Liberty work, and maybe we'd call it advanced groundwork heading into Liberty work. So for example, her leaving a gap at my side, like a pretty big gap on one side where she's not as comfortable, her preferring to present the same eye to me. Maybe she's more comfortable with her left eye, not as much as her right eye. And as I was working with her loose, with her having any other knowledge of this, because there was all this space around us, she was able to continue to float in the pattern that felt the most comfortable to her. So in order to help her discover that she could be balanced on both sides, I would need to put the halter and lead rope on, so that we can build each side up, so that she's comfortable looking at me out of both eyes, walking next to each side of my shoulder. So I thought that was interesting, because I'm like, even if I go loose first, I'm still going to be confronted with things that I need to do with the halter and lead rope on. So I think that it's not once you're loose, you stay loose. It's things will show up and you're going to have to put the lead back on, because why not? It just helps them.
Mhm. And so for someone who feels like, well, if they, where you're saying, I need to put the halter on to help clarify, there's another horse person out there going, give them the choice, let them say no, this kind of thought process. Um, so what do you have anything to add on that for that person? What would you say when that person
Yep.
is like, my horse doesn't want to be here, I need to let him go. I need to let him not be here then, you know?
Well, so actually with this mare in this session where I was kind of testing, what if we just jump right in, and she was leaving, and not bad, but not fast or anything like running around the round pen, but just kind of walking off. And part of what I love is to let them leave, and
Hmm.
to then see if I can just invite their focus back in a prime moment, in a moment where it's possible to like circle their focus back. So letting them leave is an important thing, but letting them stay lost is not helpful or good for the horse. So I think there's a difference between letting them leave and come back. And leaving is a very healthy, normal thing that every horse will do at Liberty, and they will go through phases of it, maybe where they do it less, do it a little bit more. But letting a horse stay lost and confused, or in a state of anxiety, that to me is neglectful to that horse's well-being. So if I like, none of my methods are about running the horse around the round pen. None of them are about adding pressure if they're not going to look at me or if they're not going to focus on me. I actually love to let them stop and stare to the outside of the round pen, and I'll just wait them out. And it's so fascinating because if you wait and you wait and eventually their ears come back to a relaxed state, usually you can just flow them right back to you. But there's a part of the horse that you have to let be a horse. Like if they want to look out, if they want to check out their surroundings, we have to allow that. But then I have found it is so much more powerful to allow them to leave, allow them to be unfocused. Really, they're focused on something else, but allow that and then invite them back when their system is settled. Over time, that gap of time that it takes is less and less, and it pays off definitely long term. But I think that like you can give them the choice to leave, but I think it's not helpful and it's not kind to let them stay lost when you could help clarify or explain things to them, especially if you know you're going to do it in a kind and fair way. I think there's a difference between the two. If I see a horse like tearing around a round pen, my first thought is I need to somehow help this horse come out of this state so that I have a chance to talk to this horse about maybe making another choice, or is it possible that they could feel differently? Loose is not really it's not like a direct link to a horse, you know, having the freedom to say no. I mean, I don't think it's a direct link to um, being kind to a horse. I think a horse
Hmm.
can be loose and be having a terrible time, like
Oh yeah. And
full
I think a horse
throttle.
can say no and we can respect it and they're still having a terrible time.
Yes.
It's like it
Yeah.
becomes a habit to be thinking bad thoughts and of being
Yes.
anxious, just like some people can do.
Yes.
It becomes a habit to be like that. And so it's like, gosh, I couldn't agree more with the statement that we have to respect a horse's no. We do, totally. We have to respect it, but it's not a period, close the book. It's like,
Right.
okay, and let's move on
Yes.
from here, whether that's with a rope or not, or a round pen or not, or whatever.
Yes.
Love that.
It's,
Love how you're, I mean, like you're saying, it's a conversation and it's about going back and forth with the horse, a two-way dialogue, not setting parameters about this is what kind looks like, and this is what nice is, and this is what liberty is, and that kind of thing. So love
yeah.
all that.
And I think I kind of, so I'll circle back just to the liberty definition of liberty. Everybody has a different definition of what it is and what it means to them. To me, anything someone's doing that's loose with a horse, attempting to, work with them, communicate with them, could be considered liberty. Some people, have the thought in their head to do dressage at liberty with their horse. Some people just want their horse to follow them around and maybe do obstacles. So everybody has a different dream or a goal of what would they like to experience with their horse at liberty. But as long as it's done in the right, um, with the right intention and the right energy, that's what matters. Liberty is not chasing a horse around waiting for them to decide to look at you to find relief. Like, that's not the essence of liberty. And I think most people that are striving in the liberty direction understand that with the climb towards liberty work comes a climb in our own evolvement as a horse person. So the two have to go together. We have to get better at being aware of ourselves, how we communicate, perceptions we have, the judgments we make about what the horse is doing. So we have to grow with the horse. And I think it's important not to forget that, because liberty turns into a very like fine-tuned state where little things that you say to the horse really matter and mean something. And so the more we are aware of ourselves and fine tune ourselves like an instrument, the better we are able to go with the horse towards that direction.
Now, for somebody who has not dipped their toe in this pool at all, it sounds like you're describing liberty is on the ground, but also tackless riding is what you're describing. Yes?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking more of liberty on the ground, but Bridleless riding, yeah, would be the horse is also not totally at liberty because we're sitting on them, but when you go to the International Liberty Competition, they've got, liberty tests with you next to your horse and then bridleless tests. So being able to both ride with nothing or with minimal aids and being able to work on a ground with a horse with minimal physical
Mhm.
aids between you and the horse.
Okay. And while we're defining things, how would you
Yeah.
define horsemanship? Got a definition for that one?
Oh gosh. Wow, that's a hard one to answer in a short way, but I think that horsemanship, now I'm just going to speak from the person side, the human side of this, because horses are horses and it's up to us to really be the ones to learn and grow and figure out how we can work with them, how we can communicate with them. So to me, horsemanship is like an evolvement or a development or learning of one's self-awareness. Meaning, what energy am I emitting? What intention am I emitting? How am I judging this moment? What's my perspective about what this means? How am I interpreting this? It's the evolvement as we go along of improving that, improving how we actually speak to the horse, which is not just what we do and say, it's also how we receive feedback as well. So I think that the journey of a person to grow and improve the awareness we have over ourselves, like how do we present ourselves to the horse? How are we evaluating what's going on? How does that transform into what we do next, what we say next? How can I not only improve also how I'm communicating to a horse, but also how open and ready I am to receive their feedback? And I think that flow of I'm going to try and ask you something. Okay, I'm going to observe what's happening. And then now I'm going to filter that through me and then now modify what I'm saying to you. I think horsemanship, no matter what discipline you're in, is about that because first of all, you can't just talk to a horse and have a dead end. Like if you don't, if you're not, if your antennas are not up and ready to receive the feedback and observe how it went, how your horse responded to what you asked, then we're going to miss vital information. So it's about like improving our information gathering skills as well. I see things today that back when I was a little girl learning about horses, I just totally missed. Like they weren't even on my radar. I wasn't even
Mhm.
probably looking for them, noticing them, aware that they were there. And now, it's like a pretty amazing to realize like, wow, there was so much to learn, and I can't even imagine how much more is left to learn, but the self mastery and really it's adaptability because you can get as good as you want, like, from books or from, videos, but to adapt in the moment is you're taking in feedback from the horse, you're gathering your information and you're changing how you're approaching the situation so that you find like the right wires that work for that particular horse in that moment, in that situation. So I think that's what horsemanship is our flexibility and self-awareness and adaptability in how we are like with them. And I think that could apply, yeah, to any discipline, like anything we're doing. Because across the board, anytime we work with a horse, no matter what, jumping, cross country, barrel racing, we're trying to ask the horse, could you think about this or could you do this? And so anytime we engage in saying sentences to the horse, the cycle starts of the horse providing information and feedback. And then it's up to us. What do we do with that? Do we even notice that? Can we take that information and can it mean something helpful to us to then go back and help the horse? So not a solid definition, but an idea of what are the revolving doors that define horsemanship.
Love that. In a lot of hunter jumper circles, not to pick on them. I'm sure this is true in many of them, but that's just the one I have experience in. Horsemanship, and like your horsemanship learning and your horsemanship test and all this stuff is like learning all these different skills of how to care for your horse. That was
Mm,
my experience, and I do think it's absolutely possible that in doing those things of caring for your horse and learning all those little details, you do figure out what horsemanship is, but not necessarily. Like some people, I think it's like they learn, oh, I did this checklist, I know how to do all these skills, I have my horsemanship badge, or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's not about, it's just a different thing. It's still not a dialogue thing. It's like it is caring for the horse, it is knowing the horse, but it's still not a dialogue. And I think that's the
right.
biggest, most important thing, of course, is the dialogue. So I think that's
Yeah.
interesting. And like I said, some people, I do think trainers do inject that into the process of learning those skills. But I think a very large majority, especially in the competitive world and things, don't. It becomes like a check the box, learned this, did that, went through the thing.
Yes, I agree.
So one of the questions that I think will be a good add-on to what you just said about horsemanship is, as riders, we have to interpret how our horses are feeling mentally and physically. And every horse is unique, of course, but what are some ways that your horses tell you how they feel or what they need?
That's a really good question. One, I'm just going to think, say the first things that come to mind. Um, First, at this point, I do trust my feelings about what I feel that horse is feeling in that moment. So I always do check in with my gut feeling. I at least consider it even if I'm not sure, hey, am I interpreting this through the wrong lens? Is this really what's going on, or is this just me kind of, you know, I'll use the word injecting my own judgment into this. So I do check in with my gut for sure. And if you check in with your gut, sometimes you can tell, okay, there's some anxiety that's here, or this horse doesn't seem motivated today, or this horse maybe doesn't feel good today. Sometimes your gut just gives you a little hint or a little bit of a idea of where the compass is pointing. Um, but then I'll look at things such as um, bracing in the neck. Like, is my horse have their neck really tight? Are they holding their head up? Are their muscles tight in their body? So we've got tension. So visually looking at the horse and seeing visually, does the horse seem like they're in a braced body? Are they rushing? If they're rushing, tense, out of balance, are they crooked? Are they leaning in, rolling their shoulder out? Or are they kind of twisted through their body? All of that visually can let me know how they're feeling and experiencing and interpreting what I might be asking them to do. So that's important information. And sometimes I don't know, and it's okay to not know like exactly what that means, but spotting it will help you kind of hit the brakes and find out how you can help dissipate some of that. So just spotting when a horse might be in a brace, rushing, out of balance, crooked, all those kind of things. If you're standing near the horse, you can also feel their energy. So often, if I have a horse, you can stand next to them and you can feel if they're like kind of retracting away from you or if they're slightly leaning on you, even if they're not touching you or anywhere close to leaning on you. You can just feel like as if you're with a person that you're standing next to someone and you can feel them kind of just pushing into your space, or you can feel them kind of leaning away a little bit. I assess that. And I just trust that feeling. If I feel like they're kind of leaning in, sometimes that can be, okay, they're insecure. It's not necessarily that they're being like bad or anything like that. They might just be manifesting their insecurities or their lack of confidence or their anxiety or their worry, their fear. So I feel the air around the horse, especially when I'm standing in it. We all know what it feels like. You have a horse, for example, horses on cross ties, and you go to leave the cross ties just to take a step back to maybe grab your brush and go back to the horse. And as soon as you step away, the horse like starts to walk forward, and you just feel that they kind of crowd the air a little bit, even if they're tied on cross ties. That feeling tells me, okay, that horse wasn't settled. Um, they're not settled in their body and in their skin. So physically, if they're braced and pushing, energetically, if I feel that they're not settled and relaxed in their body, if they're trying to lean or kind of pull away from me, breathing, I check their breathing and kind of both at their nostrils and looking at their flank. You can hear it sometimes as well, if their breathing sounds stressed or if they're taking nice deep breaths, if they're relaxed. Ears as well. These are all a lot of visual cues, but they go and they melt with the feeling you get in your stomach and your gut when you're with them. I'll look at their their eyes, their ears, whether they're focused and have their head up focused on something else, or whether they're like plugged into me, as well as assessing the environment. So things like that, and then watching, like when I ask them to do something or to try something, or I've invited them to explore something, um suggested something, even how they what they look like and how they feel in that moment. Did I get an ear pin? Did I get any resistance in their, like, did they lock up their body at all? Did they maybe shoot their energy out of their body, like maybe exuberantly? um how they then what they say when you say something is important to watch. Not so having an assessment of your starting place, and then an assessment of what's going on when you're talking. um that's really important. And when you form a partnership with the horse, you get to know those little details that like nobody else would know. The little things that make that horse special and that horse unique. And you can detect, your like inner GPS can detect when something is starting to go off kilter of what is normal for that horse. I really like to um, watch the horses and make sure that they're feeling okay physically. So if I notice anything that signifies that they might be lame or that they might feel a little sick, I've got always got my eye peeled for that too. But a lot of the times, a blend of your gut and what you're feeling, like that can't be seen, with the what can be seen, is how I would assess a horse. And then really, you have to then begin an information gathering like journey. Because if I say to a horse, hey, could you back up, or could you move to the side? How they answer that gives me very helpful information. So I gather information as I go when I work through things, and that will totally change the trajectory of a session, on whether the horse is giving me a green light to continue on, or they're giving me a red light to back up, to take things down a notch, simplify things. Maybe I have a horse that's not motivated or doesn't feel interested in what I'm doing, so I have to go find something to pique their interest again and then bring them back. So I think there's like an assessment that's before you start, and then as you go, you gather information. Sometimes I have sessions where I am gathering a lot of information and I don't know yet what I'm going to do about it. Like, I'm not making hard cut decisions. Okay, this happens, we do this. This happens, we do this. Sometimes I spend a couple days gathering information and seeing, okay, what is all of this saying? And so it doesn't have to be rushed. A lot of the times when I
Mhm.
meet a new horse, there's a period of information gathering before like I get a little more solidified in my interpretation of where they're at. So I think sometimes not drawing conclusions too early is a part of it too.
Mhm. I like how you mentioned a couple of times the baseline, and like the information gathering, I guess, is what's creating the baseline. A lot of people don't start paying close attention until there's a problem, and a pretty big
Yes.
problem. And so they don't have great baseline information. They didn't realize it was lacking, you know.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
or or maybe in some cases you start to try to guide them through peeling the onion a little bit. And it's like, no, my problem, it starts here. And I'm like, no. No, I'm not so sure that it does. Let's
Yeah,
uh let's
exactly.
talk about where this conversation began from your perspective and the horses. Like nobody's wrong here, but you both are clearly having different opinions on when this conversation started or if it started at all and how it's going.
Yes.
So I think that's
Yes.
really important um, to think
Oh,
about,
yeah. And
and like just putting in the time to and being willing to go back to it at any point. Like, okay, where was the beginning again? How did this all get here?
yeah.
You know?
And something like that we all could probably relate to is like the quality of your horse's ability, like their ground tie, which, when we think ground tie, we think groundwork and a horse, us dropping the lead rope and walking circles around the horse. But what the ground tie signifies to me is the horse's ability to like relax, feel comfortable in their skin and wait. So it's more, even more symbolic than what it looks like, in textbook form in most people's minds. I will be taking in information, when I open the stall door, does the horse kind of rush to the front? If I step away to grab a brush and the horse is on cross ties, do they kind of take a step or two forward? After I've maybe put the bridle on and it's time to leave the cross ties, are they like anxious to walk out? When I go to get on them, are they like ready to walk away? When I go to leave the arena, are they like kind of ready to walk right? Those little things, those are all kind of tied to my horse's ability to like wait and stay and be confident that I will come back, that they don't have to kind of rush or that it's okay if they're alone for a little bit. And so you can kind of see patterns among things, but you have to look in areas that, like you're saying, that we might be overlooking and used to. Like I never saw, my horse has a great ground tie, in this spot in the arena, but I don't know why, my horse might be rushing out the gate or, it's all kind of tied into different situations. It just wears a different cloak. And
Mhm.
so, especially in routine horse care things like bringing in and out of the field, into the stall, the grooming, all that stuff we get very used to, and we tend not to see the things that also manifest in our actual training sessions as well.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen on that one. Um, so I know recently you made the decision to do some shows with your horse Wildheart, yes, and I know some of them were Liberty shows, but you also did some traditional dressage shows as well. Can
Yes.
you talk a bit about your decision to want to do that? And I'm most definitely going to want to know if the things that other people are doing in these environments is a challenge for you.
So, this year, my first show that I did was the National Dressage Pony Cup. So that was in July. So actually, like, kind of, halfway through the year, more than halfway through the year, but 4th of July weekend. And the reason that I wanted to go was, Wildheart's 13 now, and I've had her since she was 5. And I feel like I want, like, I do a lot with her here at home, but I'm always alone and I never, film anything and I feel like I wanted to go on a journey with her. Like, and I know the power also of setting a deadline and needing to show up. Like, like when you sign up for a lesson, like you're like, okay, lesson's coming. I need to be like on my A game mentally, emotionally, physically. And there's something about having a deadline that is a blessing. Also can be a curse to have a deadline, but there's something about it gives you a container, like a container to grow in. And especially for me, like making the decision to show I do not have a truck. I don't have a trailer. I did not have a saddle. I don't have a bridle, a saddle pad, or a girth. I had a show jacket, a helmet, boots. Um, I don't even think I had gloves, but So pretty much like there's every reason not to go because I just don't have a way to get her there and I don't have the tack. And she's really hard to fit for a saddle. I've been riding her bareback for 5 years now. And so I like the challenge of like, first of all, taking her into a ring and not setting the bar so high that it's unachievable for her and unfair to her. So I chose to do training and first level with her so that I don't take her there and that she feels nitpicked on hard things that are hard for her because she has been through EPM, has bad allergies, and so there's a lot I'm working on with her health. But I wanted to go on a journey with her of like spending time with her, of like there's something really special about that because at home it's like, there's always tomorrow and I can just come out tomorrow and putz around with her. But setting a deadline, it's like I'm going to show up even more and I want that experience with you. Like I want to become like your best friend in this journey. And so I thought it was a good way to practice no excuses. Also to take what we've been doing at home and take it into another stage and to have an opportunity to bond with her more. So I did that show, and I'm not a big shower. Like, I don't show for a living. I've shown before and gotten my silver medal. But this was my first time taking Wildheart into a show besides after she was wild to the Mustang makeover. So after that, I did, and she won the Mustang breed award there. And after that, I did shows, USDF shows here in Kentucky, and worked through those tests. And she actually again won the Mustang Award for training and first level in the nation. So first of all, I've always felt like I should not be in the dressage ring because I have like, not fancy horses. Like I have my little shuffly Mustang who's like downhill, little short neck. She would much prefer to just shuffle along and it's intimidating. I've had people tell me, the National Dressage Pony Cup, there's super fancy ponies there and stuff. And so I kind of was put off by the idea of I don't belong here because I don't have a horse that is even made to really excel at this. But it felt really good to like ignore that and to show up anyway and actually to do really well, like for her. Like she did so well. Like she really, really tried for me. And I think to me, dressage is like medicine for their body. It's not just about showing and winning. So I went there with the intent to, I love like showing up first thing in the morning, caring for her all throughout the day. I don't want anybody to be bathing her. I don't want anyone. In fact, I would eat lunch sometimes in her stall in the corner, like in the shavings, like nobody knew I was in there. I turn into like that little girl that just loves her horse and wants to, and the quality time I spent with her was like priceless. Did I see things that didn't align with, my philosophy? And of course, like, did I see horses that I would love to help and work with? Absolutely. Did I see people that I saw, you just like anywhere, you see a whole array of partnerships between horses and people. I don't feel attracted to the idea of showing to, just get ribbons and scores. Like to me, it symbolizes it's like me and my horse against me and my horse, and like all of the ways that I would stop myself from showing up my very best. Like everyone's confronted when you have to really come down to the wire. You're confronted with your doubts, like should I even be here? Should I be in this ring? What if my horse isn't good enough? What if my horse can't do this? I was even before I went in, I was like, I don't even know what it sounds like. How do I know if I get eliminated? Like, my brain was going, I was like, I want to know the sound of the bell, or like I was, trying to figure all that stuff out. But I know that I enjoyed like, the process of getting her used to the environment when I was there. Like there's a whole process to showing that's not just about in the ring. It's how do you help your horse feel the most comfortable and feel the best? And I like that challenge because that's kind of what I love to do anyway. So is there room for a need for more partnership? Yes, there's always room for that, and I think there's always room for me to get better at that, and always room for that area to grow, no matter what discipline. Um, but knowing that there's aspects of the showing world that don't maybe appeal to me, I'm glad I didn't let that stop me from showing, because maybe I was able to be an example of what it could be like, or an example of here's a girl who loves her horse going in. This horse, is not born to do Grand Prix at all. But there they go, like in harmony together. And so it was nice to like turn down the voices in my head that said, you just shouldn't try. Like it's not worth it. And just to go anyway and to show that I can have any horse. I can have literally, this horse was wild in Nevada, and now here she is in the ring, and she's my best friend. So then time goes on, and we take all the tack off and do bareback and bridleless tests at the International Liberty Horse Association Championship. And I rode her just in a saddle pad and a neck rope, so no girth. And I like that because that was kind of showing and taking, okay, we can do all this with the bridle on and the saddle on, and then we can take it all off and also be able to communicate really well. And I liked that contrast, showing that it's possible to do both. And for me, like that, hey, we can do both. Like I don't have to choose between being in a show world or being in the Liberty world. I could do both. And I think having gone through it this year, I've built the confidence that I can do it my way, meaning I can prepare my horse my way, I can handle my horse my way. I don't need to be imprinted by anything else going on around me. I can come in and do what I've been doing at home and not be afraid to be that person, you know, in the
Mhm.
public.
Love that. I think that's what everybody can use a little bit of in
Yeah.
their life, is just like, yeah, do it my best, my horse's best, not letting how others think or feel or talk or whatever they're doing is easier
Yeah.
said than done, you know? So
Yes.
kudos to you on that. Now I did not know you had your silver medal. So when did you get that, and what led you to want to get your silver medal?
So I believe I got it in 2022. I think it was 2022. So I had worked for Yvonne Barteau in Illinois and studied. I took lessons with her as often as I could, and we'd have a little earpiece in our ear, and she was a very, very, very good coach for riding, and so I was able to ride through elements of the Pre St. George by the time I left there and went on and got my Mustang. But I never showed, so it never had any like there was nothing that measured it, my riding. And so I went down and did some work for her rescue down in Florida and helped a lot of the rescue horses. And as a thank you, they were able to help me get my silver medal and on her clients' horses, two of them. And her and her daughter helped me do that. And it was kind of like jumping back in and getting freshened up on things and learning some new things and putting it all together. And I mean, my first actual dressage show was the Pre St. George test right off the bat going down. Let me tell you how nervous I was.
That is
Because I'm like,
crazy.
I got everything on the line. This is a huge opportunity. I don't want to blow it. I don't want to, I want to do a good job for everybody, the horse, my teacher, the owner, everybody that's helping me. And so, yeah, I got that. And you know what? I think that if anything, that at least I might be able to help people that the showing record matters to them. So just
Hmm.
say, hey, yeah, I have gone in the ring and ridden an FEI test, and I can help you with your horse through, the things that I excel at or things that I'm really good at helping people with. So I think that if anything, and I struggled with, should I do it, should I not, because it didn't really have meaning or value to me, but I have to remember that if it opens the door to help more people and horses, then it's worth it. Um, so I got the silver medal, and that's it. I don't
Cool.
have the bronze or the gold, but the silver.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And I also think it's very cool that, like, that's one piece of your story. Like, oh yeah, that was my first test in and did it. And also the other piece of your story is, yeah, I took my Mustang and we did training, and you said training in first level. It's like,
Yeah,
I think there's
yeah,
so many people that would have a hard time even doing that, because of how it looks to somebody else. Like, well, if you did that, why are you doing this? Like, what are you doing? You
yeah.
know? But I think that's
I
really,
know.
really cool.
And it's kind of funny because in first level, there's a lengthening in the trot and the canter, and Wildheart struggled to figure that out. Like, so when it was time to do the lengthening, I mean, I just was like, okay, let's try, but I know we don't really, it's not really there. And so we scored like low on all of that. And then after we finished all our showing, I've been working with her and she's figuring it out, and I'm like, whoa, like, okay, it doesn't matter. Like we've opened the door. Now she's discovering how that feels in her body and how to carry a rider and do that. Showing is over. Those, we can't go back and say, oh yeah, we can do it now, but we couldn't do it then. But it's kind of cool how that blossomed post showing. Like, but we went in and did it anyway without that being a strong point, like at all.
Yeah. So you're still getting the benefit from that show.
Yeah.
Now, do you have more plans to show her?
Possibly. So I'm staying very open to what I feel she can do and handle, and also what she would enjoy. Um, if I do anything next year, maybe I'd explore just second level with her, and maybe I'd explore, I have to look and see what she'd like to do with the Liberty Association. But I definitely want to make sure that I don't. Like overkill her body, because going into second level is there's a lot more to it, a lot more that she's stronger, she's going to have to get. So, and having been through health challenges is my greatest, like, I'm very, very delicate with her into, I don't want to overstress her body. And she's one of those horses that does really well with like a shorter ride, and she retains very well. But so I have to figure out, like, is that something that we could do? So I think it's possible, but I want to make sure that I balance it with things that she enjoys. Like she loves riding outside, so like cantering her in fields and stuff. I got to keep that going on the side. And actually, I did a lot of her training this year out in the fields because that's where she feels the best. Like she loves it out there. So finding little hills and stuff and working on things. So we'll see, but I think it's definitely possible, but I'll just be ready to modify everything as I go based on how well she's doing and whether I think I can cheerlead her or whether we need to like pause for a bit,
Hmm.
and not push the bar.
Now, I don't know a lot about your other horse. I know her name is Mermaid. Is that right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I know I
So
feel
so
bad we talk
what is
about
she
Wild
up
Heart so
to?
much.
Yeah, she's stealing the show. So
Yeah.
tell us about Mermaid. What's her deal?
So
Is she going to a horse show?
so Mermaid. Yeah, Mermaid. I competed with her, I think in 2023 at the International Liberty Horse Association Championship, and we did two Liberty tests that she won, and she's a very, very good Liberty horse. This year, though, I kind of paused like any idea of showing her at Liberty so that I could focus on Wildheart. Um, I kind of like sometimes will focus a little more on one than another because I can't always bring the two of them and be trailering and hauling like all these different places. And Wildheart needed a lot of my attention and my funds to like get her to shows and things like that. So Mermaid is like loving her training at home. She's doing like we're now incorporating all kinds of dressage stuff into her work, her little piaffe, her passage, her little shoulder ins, her like half passes, haunches ins, little walk pirouettes. And she loves it, absolutely loves it. I do ride her, but not that much because she carries the gene for PSSM1, but she manifests it clinically like quite a bit. Like very prone to tie-ups. She has the muscle, like little impulses through her muscles. Um, her muscles can kind of give out kind of easily. So I also feel like she just in general does not enjoy being ridden as much as she loves her Liberty work. Like, I mean, nickering like crazy when she's doing her Liberty work, like just absolutely lights up and blossoms in it. So I want to do what she would be happiest doing, and she's so good at it and she loves it so much that I ride her if I need to keep her body fit and strong for the Liberty work, but I would never put her in the show ring because she simply would like she would not like me. So why do I have to do this? So for her, she's mainly a Liberty horse. Yeah, and I get to push the bar with her on things because she loves it so much, and she's so trying things like, hey, could we do like a one thing we've been practicing is like canter right into a piaffe, back into a canter, into a like cool, just like things that I get to play with her that I don't with Wildheart, and so I'm sure I'll bring her back to do some showing at the or performances or things like that. But she's not definitely still in full force behind the
Mhm.
scenes.
All right. Now, would you consider yourself an optimist
Okay.
about everything or just horses? Because you've mentioned
Um,
several challenges your horses have and this and that, and there is not like an ounce of I feel like there's a lot of people who if they had horses with those challenges, it would be like, I can't do this because of this. It's just like a totally different state of mind around it. So is that
yeah.
something that you feel like you do in every part of your life, or is that like you just love horses so much you don't even have to think twice about it and it's just how it is?
Yeah, I will say with the horses, it comes very easy to me to like as far as wanting to overcome challenges, like I don't think I'm like that in my personal life as much at all. Like I think that the horses inspire me to become better. Like for example, um, I worked with a holistic nutritionist, an herbalist. Like I keep just searching for ways to improve my like I sit every week I sit down and I make feed bags for my horses, like exactly the herbs and the things that I'd like them to have into their little bags. I track it in a document if I make any changes, and I'm like I'll sit down for like sometimes it takes me 3 hours to go through it all to make all the feed bags. And it's because like I cannot not do that. Like I need to know I tried everything that I could and learned everything that I could. So the whole like even just the whole care, nutrition, contacting my vets when it's time to have them looked at if I think I need like a lameness exam or something. I mean, I will say when I hand over my credit card when it comes to my horses, my heartbeat like doesn't really change because I'm like I'll do anything. But if it comes to me, I'm like no multivitamin until until they like go on sale. But for the horses, I'm like just run it, like whatever I have to do for them.
Hmm.
So I feel like my love for them is what dominates my decisions. And of course, if they have restrictions on what they can't do, I always honor that. But uh, I'm very glad that I dabbled into like some of the holistic healthcare stuff because I learned things that have really helped the horses. So I think, yeah, in my personal life, not as strong, but when it comes to animals. yeah, a lot more.
Yeah, love it. Okay, now we talked about personal development and horsemanship. Historically, they go hand in hand. So, are there any other lessons that we have not already discussed that horses have taught you out of the saddle?
The one that I have, the lesson that I think is actually harder for me because I'm not confronted with it as much, but I have been confronted with it is fear because I'm not, I feel at home with the horses. Like, and there's a lot that, when you learn a lot, things don't scare you as much. Like, you know, of course, when we fall off, we get a little bit of a check and we have to like, you know, be mindful of certain things. But I think that for sure, working with Wildheart when she was a Mustang, some other horses as well. Um, I've had some horses trip with me and fall down, like out of the blue and things like that. So I think that the fear comes up, and sometimes, it can be like hard to move through. And I feel for people that experience fear with horses and like can't seem to move through it because it feels like an infection, like it's just like in your veins. The last time I had a horse trip and fall with me was pretty, it came out fine, just, couldn't move really well for like 2 weeks, but it was a total fluke accident. And I got like every time a horse like coughed or like just nicked their toe in the sand after that, it would like shudder inside. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even control that or stop that. And so I think that learning to just allow time to heal some things, to move through them was another lesson I learned. But I think more of the lessons with the horses have been about how to slow down my thought process, how to sharpen my observation skills, how to think from the horse's perspective, how to be creative in my solutions, how to go around the bush, like to get something solved. Like you don't have to attack it head on. Could you go around the bush and start to gain momentum before you actually try to solve something? Those are like the main lessons. The fear kind of like comes and goes, but it's not a constant. I don't have any real lessons from that except to just allow it to be, and it will change because that love of the animal will pull you through a lot of things.
Mhm.
Like we all will show up to the barn kind of no matter what.
Okay, now this is the most important question of the day, and that is your fairy godmother granted you three horse-related wishes? What would you wish for?
So, the first one would be a way to help horses that have no one. Um, and a way to do that effectively with the appropriate funding and to do it well. I've always, feel for the animals that I see, like even just on the road. I was talking to my friend today. I'm like, I think I saw a cat that was outside by herself. And like, I'm like, I don't know if she has a home or not. And so I feel for horses that, they get dropped off and they get left. And people that like horses that don't have people that really care about them anymore. A way to
The
solve
passed
that
around horse. The
because
passed around horse is sad.
yeah, or the horses that are abandoned, neglected, dropped off in pens that ship them out. Like, I mean, uh, horses that like I'm in, racehorse capital and horses. I know how many are born here each year and where they all end up, you know. So I think first wish would be a way to somehow help ones that don't have people that, are like working on their health or their well-being. So some way to do that, helping animals in need. Um, I would love a venue that I could actually like teach people with multiple like raw cases, like take let's have these 6 horses. Maybe I've never handled them before. Let's take them all through some groundwork and try some liberty and let's see what comes up and what we can learn from them. Kind of like big master classes where we dive into real raw cases as a group that everybody can learn from what each horse has to say. Something like that. So putting the horse's voice on stage and giving them a stage to teach everybody from. And the third would be, it's not really like a wish, but like good land. Like if I could have the sea and mountains and fields and like obstacles and just like a huge like imaginary land of playground where like we could take the horses swimming and we could take them into the mountains to where, and then we could take them to the obstacle course and like actual things that get horses outside and exploring nature and working through things. I think that would be a really just like cool way to bring together, like to blend in, hey, we have the arena, but we also have all these places and we can do it on foot or we can do it on their back, but getting horses out in like real terrain that's safe for them. If I could bring all of them into one, which you can't, you know, the mountains and the ocean and the all of it
Private
into one
island.
piece, I think that'd be really, yeah, private island, yeah.
That's
But how
all. No
many,
big
you know,
deal.
how
Just a
many
private
horses?
island.
Yeah, and like, you know, the introverted ones, the scared ones, how they come out of their shell, the ones that, I don't know, like all kinds of personalities could benefit from a huge nature playground. I feel like I'm thinking of some magical like land where we get to do it all, rescue, rehabilitate horses outside, everything, master classes.
Love
But
it.
yeah, for
I'm
sure,
moving
the
to
big
your
one is,
island
yeah, I
for
feel for
sure.
the horses. Yeah, I know. It'll happen.
Let me know when it's ready. Okay,
Okay.
well, can you tell us how people can find you and follow along, and tell us a little bit about your online program and all that stuff?
Okay, sure. So you can follow on my Facebook page, which is Ariana Sakaris Equestrian Development. You can just click follow, and then you'll get all the posts I put up and updates and news. You can also go to my website, which is arianasakaris.com. Just make sure you put HTTPS and then arianasakaris.com. And there will be, you could sign up for the email list and then you'll get notified if we ever do any educational webinars coming up. You'll be notified of those. And you can read a little bit about me and sign up for some free videos as well. And the program that I have is designed to provide you with videos that you can watch to be able to learn how to do things at home with your horse without having to bring a trainer to you, without having to haul your horse somewhere. So, step by step program for groundwork and liberty work and some problem solving as well. And then the real cool part about the program, which I think people really love, is that twice a month we have a Q&A session, which you can take videos of you working with your horse, send it in, and we go over it together, and it's included in the membership. So you get little video clips. You can send them in. You can just ask questions. Hey, what are some exercises to work on this, or my horse is doing this, could I get your feedback or help on how I could solve this, how I could work through this. So that's where you get individualized help and guidance. And then once a month we do a master class on a specific topic, such as one of the ones we did is how to handle when your horse leaves you at liberty. So we talked about that and ways you can handle that. So each month there's kind of a hot topic that we do live, and it's recorded and it goes up in the membership, and then the Q&A session. So it's not just a video library. There's also a live component every month. And I think that's good because people can put it on their calendar. They can show up for that. And I do really take into consideration what people are interested in learning about so that these trainings are relevant and very helpful to the interest of the people in the program. So that's the program, and we only open the doors during launches. It's only open for 7 days at a time when it opens. So that'll be something to look forward to, and you'll get notified about that and see it on my Facebook as well when that happens.
Well, Ariana, you are an amazing example for everybody. Everybody needs to learn a little something from how you are with horses. So thank you so much for chatting with me today, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It was an honor.
I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to click follow or subscribe, rate the show, and share with a friend. Visit tamraleebarrett.com for more info on coaching, consulting, and links to our socials. Until next time, happy horsing.